Hey there, lovely people. Welcome to Be Your Best You with Tash and Becky, your go-to hangout for all things spiritual, subconscious, and downright magical. We're here to sprinkle a little mystical wisdom into your everyday life and help you level up your reality.
Picture this as your cosmic coffee date, where we chat about the unseen world, blend in some psychology vibes and stir up the subconscious magic. Get ready to be the queen of your own reality, live a life that lights you up and have a blast doing it.
So grab your latte or your tea and let's dive into another episode of Be Your Best You, where the mystical meets the mundane and your best life awaits.
Cheers to creating magic together.
Let's do this.
Hi, welcome back to another episode of Be Your Best You with Tash
And Becky, the Bash edition.
and today we are speaking about Atlantis.
Ooh, magical.
This is a magical one. This is also, we are hoping, going to be a memory spark.
Yeah, definitely. Tash tells some amazing stories. She really gets your imagination going. So maybe you were in Atlantis.
Mhm.
You have to let us know.
You will. We're not going to say any more than that, but don't be put off if you think Atlantis is a myth. What do I want to listen to that for? Please, this goes so much deeper than you realise, and this could be a doorway into unlocking a whole new remembrance of who you are, who you were, what your purpose is, and why you're behaving the way you're behaving
Yeah.
in this lifetime now.
So on that note, I just want to say, please, could you all share and subscribe to the podcast? You'd be doing us a massive favour. But more than that, enjoy Atlantis.
Before we start, if your mind is constantly telling you, I should be doing more, and you're stuck in that cycle of overthinking, pressure, and never feeling like you've done enough, we've made you a free 12-minute audio reset. It's called Return to Self, and it's linked in the show notes. And today on the show, we are talking about Atlantis.
Oh, magical. Now, I don't know a lot about Atlantis at all. So over to you, Tashi.
Okay, why are we talking about Atlantis, you might ask?
Why?
It was a massive thing for me.
I remember.
Yeah, in my early days, Atlantis was one of those things that fell into place quite quickly when I got into the spiritual world for me.
But even when you were a child.
Well, yeah, that's why it fell in so quickly,
Yeah.
because when I started getting into the spiritual world, and we've spoken before about how we kind of opened ourselves up to the magic first. That was one of the things we did, wasn't it? When we got in here, it became playful because we embraced the magic. We used to talk about in the woods how, you know, we used to like think about fairies and how magical things were when we were children, and how open children are. Obviously, we all know now that children are much closer to spirit or that kind of world, you know, whatever. So we embraced that, and it did wonders for us, didn't it? So along that line of things, when I was embracing that and being open, because that's what it does, that's what having that childlike wonder does, it opens you up. And we know that when you're doing this, when you're stepping into this world of the unseen, a spiritual realm, like whatever you want to call it, you have to be open in order to be able to step out of your belief systems, specifically societal, you know, collective belief systems. If you cannot do that, you're not going to get very far. And you're just going to hit up against, oh, well, that's not real, or that's nonsense, and then it doesn't open the doorways to all the other things that come. So with all that being said, with that openness and that curiosity and allowing myself to look at things that were myths or fairy tales, Atlantis came into my awareness. And I was also coming at it again from the past life thing, because very early on I trained in the past life regression. I was interested in past lives, and that was a massive topic in past lives, in the past life arena, which we'll talk about. So it was coming from those two places, but then sat in the middle was my obsession with Atlantis that I've had since I was a little girl for as long as I can remember, which is kind of weird.
It is, because I'd never heard of it. I mean, I didn't do history like you did, but
No, but you don't. No, because it's a myth, right? Well, it's
wow.
Which I now fully 100% don't believe it's a myth at all. I
Not
believe
at
it
all.
was a real
It came from
place.
somewhere.
Yeah.
These myths, like
Right.
you say, they all come from somewhere real, surely.
Yeah. I'm starting to think so.
Yeah.
You know, in all areas. But like we said, once you open up your mind, anything's
That's what it is,
possible.
isn't it? Yeah.
And again, like the reason, you know, that we can remain being controlled, that we can be kept in this prison, for lack of a better word, cage, let's say cage, of control by the powers that be, like that. Is because we don't question these things, because it's fed to us over and over that these things aren't real. They're myths. People that believe it are crazy. People are, you know, and so we just go, yeah, of course it's not real.
Yeah.
Of course it's not real.
Yeah.
And it's when you're brave enough and you have the openness to look at these things and start just questioning, what if?
Yeah.
Just that.
I know.
Crack.
That was like such a big thing for me, because like we've spoken about it before, because you were always so curious. And it sort of had the opposite effect on me. Every time I heard the word myth, I wasn't interested.
Oh,
I know, right?
I love a myth.
I know. I mean, I do now. I mean, like that was a layer I dropped, for sure.
Yeah.
Because I was like, well, what do I want to spend my time, waste my time learning about things that aren't true?
That's so interesting.
That's how I saw it,
Yeah.
like at school. So when you're like, oh, tell me more about it, I'm like, don't tell me myths. I haven't got time for that. But now, obviously, I'm where you are now.
But that's I think that's such a good point, because there's probably a lot of people that can resonate with that. And maybe, you know, I do believe that we all come in with certain remembrances, little things that we remember for a reason, or little things that catch our attention for a reason, because we're supposed to carry them through. And I do think that the reason that I came in loving history, loving myths, loving the magical stuff, and having a real curiosity for it was because I was eventually supposed to end up here and start talking about this stuff. And it all has played a part.
Yeah.
And the same as you will have had things.
Well, that was my lesson to learn, wasn't it? I had to drop that whole layer of myself to, like you said at the beginning, how just listening to things like this, like Atlantis, can just open you up. And that's what it did. Like once I dropped that whole, well, where do these myths actually come from? Like they don't just come from nowhere, do they? And it just opened you up in so many ways. It's not just Atlantis, is it? It then opens you up to everything, and you question everything.
Yes.
And, you know, it's like, I remember thinking, so why on, you know, cave walls, they've got the same creatures, you know, exactly the same mythical creatures on the walls in Africa as they do in South America or whatever. I don't know. But, you know, it's like they weren't communicating. There's something in that.
Yeah.
You know, so like you say, it all starts from a little spark, doesn't it? But you came in remembering all of that. I had to learn how to drop all of that.
Yeah, because that, like you said, that was part of your lesson.
Yeah.
That was, and I've had other lessons that I've had to go through. It's just, we all have different things. Like we said, we all have we come in with different memories, different awarenesses open. And that's the fun of it.
It is.
And so with all of that being said, I want to say that if you're listening to this now, if you've opened up this podcast and haven't been put off by the title already, but you don't feel like you have any connection to Atlantis or it's never really been an awareness, hold tight. Like listen to this episode, because like you said, this could be the thing that even if Atlantis isn't like really connected to you, and we'll talk more about how that could be later, but if it's not, this will do the same thing with maybe something. This will open you up to something that you are like more connected to. And this is what we need to do. And also I want to say that when I started listening to things about Atlantis, when it started coming into my awareness back in those early days, and then I would listen to podcast episodes like this about people talking about Atlantis or read books about it, it was like it acted as a catalyst to open up more of my memories. It really it did. It opened up something in me every time I listened to something. And I knew it was doing it. So I wanted more and more. So I'm hoping that this episode might do that for you guys, for the right people, because I think there will be people out there listening to this as well that do say, oh, yeah, I've always had a bit of a fascination with Atlantis.
Yeah.
But there's lots of other, like you said, there's lots of other things. There's, you know, other civilizations, Lemuria, there's Tartaria, people like, I don't necessarily have connections with those, but having the connection with Atlantis and to Atlantis has allowed me to open myself up to them, to people that I might work with that might be connected to them, but also opening up to Atlantis really propelled me in this journey. And it seems so random. And how does that even help you? But it really, really did. Like, I can probably sit here and say that I wouldn't be here where I am now, who I am, talking about the things I'm talking about, if I hadn't had the Atlantis connection for myself personally. So I'm not saying that everybody else needs that, but you will have your own version of that. But Atlantis might also be that for you.
Definitely.
So okay, I want to put then a disclaimer out here now, or not a disclaimer, an invitation.
Yeah.
Remain open, obviously, but allow yourself to go there. And what I mean is, when I'm saying this stuff, if you feel beliefs coming up going, oh, what's she talking about? Or this isn't real, or like, just drop it. Let yourself drop it just for a second and let yourself feel the words and the resonance and see if something rings true to you. See if it reminds you of something or opens a memory of something. Let yourself go there. Don't judge yourself. Don't stop it, because you might be surprised. And it does take a little bit of courage. It takes a little bit of breaking through those beliefs, maybe having those things where you go, oh, it's like, oh, you're crazy, or don't be so stupid, or oh, you've really lost it now. Like, go push through them and let this come through, because you might be surprised, because it unlocked a lot of past life memories for me and helped me understand a lot around my purpose and what I feel like I'm here to do, and what I've always known as a child that I have come here. It really helps solidify your belief in your intuition. It helps you solidify the belief that there's other stuff going on in the world, and that it helps you remember that connection that we were saying of when you're a child. How you remember things, or how things feel significant to you, that's not a coincidence. You might have chalked it off to being like, oh, that's weird, like I did with my Atlantis obsession. I was like, that's just weird, but okay. And I knew it was a thing. That's the thing. I always knew, like, when I would see things from a child to an adult, I'd always have that voice in my mind, which I know now is kind of like, you know, my intuition mixed with my ego there for sure, that said, there's something about this. This is weird. Like, I could never have had the rhetoric of saying, oh, that's because this is a past life, or you've lived in this and this is about your spiritual awakening. No, it's just like, this is odd that you feel so connected to this. This is a bit strange. Like, why are you so connected to this? And then,
but you didn't stop, did you?
No, because or I let the beliefs overtake me and push it out of my mind. So let's just start. I suppose I need to kind of start at the beginning then, where it, like, childhood. So I would watch all the documentaries I could on Atlantis. If anything came on about Atlantis, bearing in mind we didn't have loads of channels back then, it wasn't as easy. We didn't have the internet, couldn't look up on stuff on YouTube. So if there was stuff on the telly, I'd make sure that I'd watch it. I remember, like, if there were any cartoons or, you know, programs that I was watching that had Atlantis in it, I'd be like, oh, you know, I would feel a bit of excitement in my stomach, and I'd be like, oh, like, I remember something keeps popping into my mind, Ice Age. So obviously I was an adult by the time Ice Age came out, because the kids were little. And I remember, I can't remember which one it was. I don't know whether it was the first one or whatever, but I remember Scrat. Have you ever watched Ice Age?
Oh, God, yeah.
So Scrat, I think it's right at the end. It's the very last bit, but he takes the acorn out off the, like, a plug in a fountain, and it's Atlantis, and then he's the one that causes it to sink. And I even remember, like, thinking then, like, feeling that excited, like, oh yeah, Atlantis, like, oh, this is cool. This is cool that Atlantis is in here. Oh, I wonder what's going to happen next. How much are they going to show? And almost feel disappointed when it's over. Right, that's how much of a pull it was to me. So even then, like, I was like, this is so weird. Why am I so excited about Atlantis? And then I also had a real obsession with the Bermuda Triangle.
Oh, yeah.
I was really obsessed with that. Like, again, watched all the documentaries, spent way too much time thinking about it. Remember the first time I flew over the Bermuda Triangle to get to Florida the first time, and I was like freaking out. Not out externally, because I never did. It's always internally, like internal freak out. And it was always a thing. I later find out that that's very linked with Atlantis.
Is it?
And this is what I'm saying, like all these random things that seemed random to me, that stood out to me from a child. And I want to make this point, like, quite clearly, from a child. These are things you might find that it's been a running theme through an interest through your life. Again, don't necessarily feel like you have to relate this to Atlantis, but let this spark memories of what has been a running theme for you in your childhood that you've had the same feelings around, because you want to explore that and you want to be open to that, especially if it seems like it's a myth or it's a fairy tale or it's magical or it's something to do with the unseen world, or it doesn't fit into our typical collective beliefs. So that was kind of like my childhood stuff. Then fast forward and you get into the spiritual world and the past life stuff, and all of a sudden I see people talking about Atlantis like all over the place, and I'm like, oh my god, this is it. And and very quickly I just was like, oh, there's something here. I didn't even really doubt it, because it, like I said, again, like something, it's almost like you have that slight memory, it's like a crack in the door, but as soon as you open up to it and it hits you in the face, it's like everything busts wide open and you don't question it anymore. There's something in me that clicked, and I was just like, I know this is the truth now. I know it is. And when I did that, that's when I had loads of stuff start opening up. So I read a lot of books and stuff, and people were tending to have memories from a civilization that they called Atlantis, and of how, what Atlantis looked like, what it was to live there, what happened, all the same story from people that had no conscious recollection of Atlantis. So Plato, I think it was Plato, wrote about Atlantis, right? So there are document texts of him describing this place called Atlantis. Described it with the 3 rings around with the water. That's why if you've seen pictures, that typically comes from Plato's description.
Right.
And it seemed like, I think, like, because I haven't studied it, but I think it seems like he talked about it more as just a city, whereas Atlantis seemed like it was a civilization that was spread across the world. Because we're going to come into this as well, because this is how it then starts pushing you into being open to the fact that history, as we've been taught it, is not necessarily the truth as well. So when you said, like, there's people over this side of the world and this side of the world, and they're still talking about the same thing, but how could they, because they weren't communicating? Question that. Were they not? Because we think that they were primitive and they didn't have methods of transportation. Some might say they could have been they might have had higher technologies that we do now, and so they could have been. Or you start bringing in extraterrestrials, because extraterrestrials are very linked to Atlantis as well. And do you see what I'm saying? Like, and it's not just about Atlantis, and this is how Atlantis helped me, because it helped me open up to extraterrestrials being a thing,
and then you're not
history not
dismissing things.
Exactly. It just helps your world get a lot bigger, and you don't have to like believe it all or feel like it's all true, but just being open to the fact that this it does really help. So anyway, so I said about Plato, because I want to say I'm always ever the skeptic, ever trying to balance it out and be real. Some people could have read Plato and they could have read his description about Atlantis and then had it in their subconscious somewhere, and past life regressions, could have brought it out. Also, I think Ed Casey, who was a channel, he talked about Atlantis a lot and described it a lot. So people might have read Ed Casey and then been able to get it. So I want to say, like, all of this stuff, like, it's there, it's out there. And you have to balance it out. Having said that, though, there are like hundreds and hundreds of people who have regressed back to these Atlantean times and given a lot of detail, a lot of similarities. Like a lot of things are exactly the same. They are saying the same things that weren't necessarily in Pluto's or Edgar Casey's description. And again, like I say, you hear something or see something or read something over and over again, it's saying the same thing. You've got to start thinking there's got to be something in this. This is like pattern recognition. There's something here. And so to give you a little backstory about Atlantis and stuff, because again, a lot of us will know Atlantis from a myth. It's sunk into the sea. That's pretty much it. No one really cares because it's a myth, like, right? Sorry, except me. And maybe some of you who are listening. So what it seems to be, from everything that I've read, all the research that I've done, past life experiences that I've now had myself spontaneously, haven't actually been been taken into a past life regression by someone. It's been my spontaneous things. And this is what I'm saying. It really catalyzed a lot of my spiritual growth and understanding. Which I can use. What's most important to say is I can use that in my current life. Is that, everyone thinks, oh yeah, so we know what we are in a past life. Well, that's fun. No, you use it. It's directly helpful for this life now. That's why we do past life regression. It's not for fun. It's for your growth here. But anyway, so Atlantis, it seems, was a very advanced civilization. Don't quote me on the dates. Going back, some people, it's not specific because we can't have real specific dates, but I think it goes back as far as maybe like the end of the civilization. I want to say it's like 10,000 to 15,000 years ago, but don't quote me on that. It's kind of irrelevant, doesn't matter. But just to give you an understanding, that's quite a lot of time ago, But that's when Atlantis finally fell. Now, we've all heard of Atlantis falling in a flood. Scrap caused it by taking the egg. We know this now. Now, what's interesting is that this civilization lasted over a very long period of time, like thousands and thousands of years. And they were very, like I said, very highly technologically advanced. They used a lot of crystals. It wasn't just a city. Atlantis wasn't a city. It was a civilization. It did cover the globe. Right. And this is where I'm saying, like, they could travel because they had flying machines. There's also a lot, like I said, with the extraterrestrials coming in, there was a lot around that they gave them information. They had like relationships with them. They worked together. Yes. And they basically. And so this is just like so big. Like that then leads you on to questioning, like, well, hang on a second, what about like cavemen, and how did we get here, and how did we go from that to cavemen back to how we are? That's a whole nother story. And again, like, this is a way that you can open yourself up to thinking, well, if that doesn't fit in the history chronicles that we've been told, like, what else isn't true? What else have we been told that maybe isn't true? This is where you start looking at like genetic manipulation by extraterrestrials into humans to create what we are now. Again, a whole nother conversation, which will be really cool to have. But let's just keep it on Atlantis for now. And so basically, to cut a very, very long story short, they got too big for their boots, to put it simply. Technology. And this is why Atlantis is important, because a lot of what happened in Atlantis is mirroring what is going on now. And so technology overtook emotion, soul, which is where we're getting to. And it was their undoing. They put too much emphasis on that. They tried to start playing God. They started playing with energy, etc., that they didn't understand. They weren't using it in the right way, and it led to their demise. So it seems that there were actually 3 endings of Atlantis, 3 big what's the word, like kind of dramatic ends, cataclysms, disasters. And we just think there's one where it ended in a flood, but Atlantis got smaller and smaller. So the floods, they were messing with the energy, they were messing with the earth. I think stuff to do with like crystal technology and messing with the geomagnetic stuff, you know, like all the tectonic plates. It was causing stuff going on there, which caused then obviously floods, and it started sinking Atlantis till in the end, in the third round, it was much smaller. They knew it was coming because again, there was a lot of emphasis based on technology, but they were also very spiritually connected. So they had the kind of the connection with the ETs, which there's a lot of telepathy there, all of that kind of stuff. Because bearing in mind, you know, we think we're the most advanced species in the universe. Like, give it a rest.
Yeah. Oh my God.
You know, so there was that, but they were also very connected. To their intuition. They had like spiritual gifts, online access, all the stuff that we have access to that actually is becoming online now for us if we open to it. That's why we're doing all of this. So we're hoping people will remember and like we'll all gain access to that. They had access to that. And there were a lot of people that could see the end of Atlantis coming, but couldn't stop. So there's like two factions basically. And the ones that got a bit power hungry, a bit mad, and then these other factions who were like trying to be one and keep people together, keep Atlantis from falling. They saw it happening. There was nothing they could do. And then it was like, now it's a mad scramble to save as much knowledge as we possibly can and get these people out off of the island over to other places to save them so they can save the knowledge and take it and keep it going. And that's what happened. And then Atlantis finally, they did it. It completely went and it went under. Now there's questions as to where Atlantis was. So some people say it's over like the Mediterranean area. Other people are thinking that it's more around America, around Florida, the Bermuda Triangle, the Atlantic Ocean.
What do you think?
I feel like it's around Florida because not only like, so saying all my random connections, I've always had a connection to Florida. So my first, when I was a child, my auntie moved over there, so I would always go over to Florida with her. And then it just so happened that Chris, my husband, lived in Florida when he was a kid for 2 years or so. Because of that, his parents made friends with Floridians over there, so he obviously came back. We then met, and then my auntie came back from Florida around just before I met Chris, and then we ended up going back to Florida to see his family friends. So now we've got friends over in Florida, which we go to pretty much every year. So I've always been connected to Florida. I've spent a lot of birthdays in Florida. It's very strange that I've always had that connection to Florida, and when one connection was taken away, another one came in and filled it up. Like I said, the Bermuda Triangle, which obviously you have to fly over to get to Florida. It's around that area. There's lots of things, and I can't. It's a shame because I can't. More might come to me as we're talking, like the Florida one did. There were so many things that kept fitting in the puzzle piece to fit in with Atlantis, and how my life now is very connected. So, in answer to your question, I do believe that Atlantis was around there. Now, listen, like it might have stretched all the way from the and like we said, they were everywhere. So maybe part of it was in the Mediterranean, part of the civilization was around there. Now, what they say about the Bermuda Triangle is the crystal technology that they were using. One of the big crystals that caused the collapse is at the bottom of the sea, where the Bermuda Triangle is.
That makes sense.
And so it messes with things. It messes with, let's say, dimensions, the magnetics. Is why weird things happen in the Bermuda Triangle. We know they do. We have evidence, we have proof. And again, it's all like, oh, that's because of this or that's because of that. But nobody actually can say fully, that's because this is what happens. Let's open ourselves up.
It's all making sense.
And again, take it with a pinch of salt if you want, but
we're never really going to know, are we?
But what that
makes sense to you.
It's what feels like this. You have to pay. Like I said, there were so many pieces of a puzzle that just started pointing towards it and fitting in, which made way more sense than, it's just a myth, and that's because of this, and up thrust gets messed up and then ships sink and da da da. It's like there's so much that makes more sense.
It's really
the only thing that's stopping you from going, well, duh, is all the collective beliefs that say you're crazy and that's not real. But
Yeah.
again, question, who's told you that it's not real? Why do you believe that as the truth? How much are we starting to see now that we've been told is the truth? And now people are just casually going, oh yeah, by the way, aliens exist.
Right.
Oh yeah, by the way, yeah, this. When they've categorically said that it's not true.
No.
And people are crazy and they've shamed people, they've embarrassed people,
Oh
they've
my gosh.
people have been like caught. It's just insane.
So if that's true, that we know for sure now, they were even talking about different species that they found, which by the way was that I sent Tash something, and it was the only channel talking about it.
Yeah.
You know, so if that's real, now it's like, what else?
Exactly.
You know, there's no limit now.
There isn't a limit. And this is why it's so important when I said at the beginning, listen to this and feel it. Feel what resonates as the truth. Forget up here what makes sense up here. Feel it, because that's what I did. I was in that stage where I was just so like in the moment of the magic. I was so open to more so than probably maybe I even am now, like in terms of the magic. I was just so open to the magic and the feeling, and that's where I got so many of my answers, not from my head, from what felt true to me. So that's a little backstory of there's so much to Atlantis. There's so much of a story. That's a really, really short, condensed version. And I would say that if you are interested in Atlantis and if this is already sparking some things like, oh, I want to know more, please go and read. There's so many books about Atlantis. Specifically, I find the ones interesting. Don't go for ones that try and be factual or try and like on that 3D level. Go for the ones that are like around past life regressions, the stories, people talking about the magical side of things, because that's what's going to spark like the remembrance. Like so one book is by, she's a QHHT practitioner, Sarah Brasme Cosman. I think that's her name.
Cool name, Cosman.
Yeah. And so she's kind of like taken over from Dolores Cannon, and she's written a book based on Atlantis and the information that she's got from the past life, the QHHT sessions. And she's put it into a really easy to read book. It's so fun. I've recommended to a lot of people. So have a look at that one. Just come into our Facebook group if you need to get the details, and I'll send them over to you. I'll push it over to you. But that's definitely the starting point. Then probably if you download that on Kindle, or if you search for it, it will give you other recommendations around that. So I would say stick to the ones, like I said, that's magical. Go research it. There's no
pay attention to really how you feel, isn't it? Yes. Don't try and intellectualize things too much.
No,
that's when we get lost.
It won't make sense.
No,
you can't do this work based on how you would typically work on a 3D level. You have to expand, like we always say. You have to come out from a bigger perspective and look at things outside of our paradigm of what's normal and what's not, what's real and what's not, what's true and what's false.
I think it's really important actually that we're talking about this now, because I feel like so many of us are yearning, longing for that life that probably a lot of us had in Atlantis again. And then when you were talking how similar it is to our world now, but before it went wrong.
Yes.
And maybe this is what's switching our genes on to believing that it's possible to have heaven on earth. We keep hearing that again, heaven on earth again, because that's what it was like, wasn't it?
Yeah, thank you for bringing that up, because you just reminded me like about again. Yes, so though it got power hungry and it ultimately led to its demise, it was like a golden era. It was like heaven on earth. Everyone was living as one, with the gifts online, love, like you said, heaven on earth, technology, free energy, right? Like and people aren't on the hamster wheel like we've talked about before, of survival and struggle, and you have to work to survive. There was none of that. Free energy, the money situation, that didn't. People were doing what was in their soul, what they came here to do. They were living from their soul. And yes, like that is what we are inevitably aiming for here again now. And to what you said, what I think is really important and what really resonated with me is that a lot of people that were living in Atlantis. And again, remember what I'm saying, like we could have had multiple lifetimes living in Atlantis, because it wasn't just a small period of time. It was over thousands and thousands of years.
Yeah.
So a lot of us have had lives, particularly people who listen to this podcast. If you're in this world, you're probably an old soul. You've probably had quite a lot of lives. So many of us lived in Atlantis, had lives in Atlantis, have memories of Atlantis and how it was to live. And they could be good lives and bad lives. We could have had lives where it was really, truly a golden age. And, we could have the ones where we were the bad guys. We did the bad stuff, the stuff where, like, it went wrong.
Yeah.
We are now, there's a massive group of us from Atlantis that are reincarnating again, because we've come in to stop this from happening again. We don't want the same thing to happen. And like we said, you can see that there are so many, when you dive into Atlantis more, you'll see there are so many similarities to what's going on here now. And you can see how it could go that way again.
Yeah.
And I believe that we've all come in, especially if you're sat there and you do, and have always felt like you have a purpose here, like that time urgency thing, like I'm supposed to do something. I don't even know what it is, but I'm supposed to do something. You feel and have always felt from a child that you're here for something, for a reason. Like, I know I felt that. And I know most of the women that I work with have felt like that as well. I would hazard a guess that you have definitely been in an Atlantean life, and you have come here as part of like a whole karmic kind of contract, finish it off, end it.
Yeah.
We're going to do something different. We're not going to let that thing happen again, because actually there is a lot of collective karmic trauma from the demise and the cataclysms around Atlantis. Like, there's so much, and this is on a very, very subconscious level. I know I had a lot, and that was one of the things that came up for me. It was a massive release of programming, of fear, coming from freaking Atlantis. Who knew? We're looking at our childhood, our past trauma, and then Atlantis comes in, and it was like explaining so much of the stuff that and it's occurring in my life now. And it was bloody powerful. And so I think, again, I want to raise people's awareness to Atlantis, because there is a lot of collective trauma. If you have dreams about flooding, if you're scared of deep water,
I was going to say that.
There are so many people. If you have an irrational fear of tsunamis or floods or anything, drowning, anything, it's probably linked to Atlantis.
And that's what got me, was it sounds like a small thing or a silly thing, if you're scared of, like, I'm scared of big waves, and you just don't know why, there's no reason for it, and you feel silly, and it stops you from doing things possibly. And then once you're open to all this stuff, and you think that there's a possibility that you could have been in this ancient civilization when the wave came, when the flood came, whatever, all of a sudden, well, you get permission to, you can understand why you feel that way about water or flooding or waves. You don't feel so silly, and it just makes so much sense. And that, it sounds like nothing, but I think when you are genuinely afraid of something and it like gives you an answer, it really helps, doesn't it?
It really does.
It really
and in
helps.
ways that you don't even realize as well. 'Cause it's not just about the water as well.
No.
Because then again, it opens up, as soon as you can think, maybe that was why I have a fear of water.
Yeah.
Oh, Atlantis. Oh, that's weird. So what else has come from that?
Exactly.
You're opening up your consciousness to allow more information from the field, from your soul memory to come through at the right time.
Yeah.
And it might be a bit later on down the line, and you'll never know that the reason was because as you eventually, you in the beginning, you opened up your awareness to, maybe I did have a past life in Atlantis. Maybe Atlantis is real. Like, let me just be open to that. And again, it's not even about the collective trauma of waves and flooding. It's thinking the collective trauma of the world is going to end. There's going to be a cataclysm. Humanity's going to end.
Yeah.
Well, how many of us, it's perfect example, and where we're right now, everyone's terrified of World War III, nuclear, or a comet's going to come and think about it. they are using that fear is such a great controller, because collectively we have that fear because it's happened to us before in the past.
Yeah.
And so it's very raw, and it's pushing on our nervous systems on such a deep subconscious level that you don't even realize. And again, like, I do believe that Atlantis has helped me in so many ways that I don't even know of. Because, you know, when I start talking about, well, yeah, you know, if there's going to be, I don't watch the news. Yeah, World War III might happen, but I'm still holding on to the faith that we can live in a world where that doesn't happen, and, you know, it's going to be beautiful. All of that, I have been able to say that calmly and have my nervous system calm and say that without worried about World War III, because of the work that I've done around Atlantis.
Yeah.
Because I've neutralized the fear of what happened then.
Yeah.
I'm pretty damn sure I was in that last flood of Atlantis. Now, I suppose this is where it gets interesting. So it's story time now, because this is where it really started becoming very real for me. I started having past life flashbacks of being in Atlantis. And I remember there was one that I did where I deliberately wanted to do a past life regression to Atlantis. So I just went on YouTube, found one that I liked, popped it in, and I had this massive experience. Now, it's important to say that I've done quite a lot of past life regressions for Atlantis. Some of them I fall asleep. Some of them I don't get anything. I've also repeated the same one where I had a massive, like, aha, didn't get anything the next time. And the reason I'm saying this is because don't give up. Don't do it once and expect to have it.
Oh, I wasn't there. Yeah.
Because you don't always get it. And I think you get it at the right time. It comes to you at the right time.
Yeah.
And oftentimes the ones where I've had these big kind of like whoas have been when I've least expected it, when I've been not really potentially like hyping myself up. You know, sometimes I go into them and I'm like, oh yeah, this is going to be it. But oftentimes it's the ones where I'm just like, now I'll just put it on because I'm just a bit sleepy, or, you know, and that's when, so bear with it and keep doing it. Don't give up. Well, as with all of this work, repetition, you have to keep going, and you can't, you know, expect it to work first time and then just go, oh, I'm not going to do that anymore. Well, you won't get very far if you do that. You have to have consistency and repetition. But anyway, so I did this past life regression, and I got taken back, and it was all very real, you know, it was very visceral. I got taken back, and I was like an old man in a temple, like a priest kind of thing, but not a priest, because nothing to do with religion.
No.
So it was a temple of all crystal. It was huge. It was amazing. And I felt the emotions, and I was so, oh God, I had so much shame, disappointment, fear, deflation, because basically I could see what was happening with Atlantis. So I was a priest, so I was on, you know, the side of, like, we need to try and be one and together, and I could see what was happening. And interestingly, there were like gods there, and I always say gods, what we would call gods, but I think maybe extraterrestrial, like higher beings, and they were there, but I'm not sure whether they were actually there or I was just connecting with them and they were talking to me, and I was like, I can't do this. It was horrible. It was, I know it's inevitable, this is going to end and there's nothing I can do. And I felt such shame. I haven't done enough. And it was really interesting because it was so many of the feelings were so similar to the feelings that I have in this life now. Not about saving a civilization, but just in my small everyday life. The feelings, it was crazy how similar they were. And I could see straight away, oh my God, that's what I've carried this over. And I also knew what to do, because then obviously, because I am, you know, I find myself in these regressions. Fortunately, I'm trained hypnotherapist, past life practitioner. I know what I need to do. So I think a lot of people, like, they go into these regressions, they have this experience, it's very overwhelming, and then they don't know what to do. Whereas I'm like, right, well, I'm going to use this now. And so I kind of spoke to that old man priest version of me, and I said, you've done enough. It's okay. Like, you did your best. You can let it go. Like, don't. I can feel the emotion. Like, I can still feel the emotion. Like coming out. It's like you did what you could. You don't have to carry the weight of this on your shoulders. And listen, we've come back. we get another shot. We know what to do now. Like, we're different. We've learned more. It's a different time. We've got lots of help. You know, all of that kind of like inner child work, but in a old man priest work. And it was so, I felt a weight come off my shoulder.
Wow.
But also I got a much bigger perspective of who I am.
Right.
A lot of stuff fell into place. I'm like, right, I understand why I've come into this world feeling like I've got something to do, like something I have to achieve. And there's a time urgency to it and a lot of shame around and not doing enough, you know, I could see how it was directly linked to him. But now I've got someone to put that on. Whereas before you think, why am I like this? Why do I put so much pressure on myself? Why do I feel like I've got a clock ticking behind me? What, you know, I'm like, oh, it's you. Oh, brilliant. It's you. And like, we don't need to do that. I've learned from you. Like, thanks for showing yourself to me. Thank you. Like, I'm glad I have the awareness of you because now I can put that to you and I can make sense of it and I can let it go. And so that was a massive, massive help to me in where I was in that stage around the shame and, you know, the pressure and all of it, a perfectionism.
Just makes so much sense. Doesn't it?
And it was in every aspect of my life. Like, it was really helpful. And then, so that was one. And then there was another one. And again, like, I can tell this story and you guys can listen and think, oh, that's cool. But you cannot, there's a million things inside me that are also going on when I remember back to that past life. And also when I was experiencing it. So there's so much, you know, that you can't put into words, but it's an understanding of yourself. It's it's a bigger understanding of things, of reality. I can't even, you know, I think anybody who's had a past life regression or experienced something like that will know what I mean when I say that.
Well, you're actually living it, aren't you?
You become that person. So you're not just looking at a story. You're in that life, and it's like you have all the knowledge and all the understanding of that person there, not just in that moment, but his whole life and the deep inner workings of his soul. And then you can connect it to yourself. So I just want to say that. But then another one that really, really took me by surprise and was so powerful was I was just listening to a podcast. And it was a lady, and she was an old lady, but she was funny because she was saying she was telling a story about how she was guiding a group of people, and they went back into they went back into a past life regression. Or maybe it was hers. I can't remember what it was. But she was basically just telling a story. So I was just listening to a podcast and she was telling a story about how she went back and she was a leader, priest type person at the very last flooding of Atlantis. When it was going down, they knew it was sinking and they had to get the information out there. And she was saying about how she was talking to these group of acolytes, like I don't know, in Atlantis there were a lot of priests and priestesses. There are a lot of factions that were based in temples, and they did a lot of energy work. They held the knowledge. They did, you know, stuff we can't even, it doesn't even factor into our everyday life now. They were holding energy. They were manipulating energy for the best, for the collective, for the civilization. They had a lot of knowledge. They were doing a lot of connecting rituals, etc. So there were a lot of things like that. Think like ancient Rome. If you've learned about ancient Rome and you had all those kind of, it was a bit like that, but not religious, more just way of life. And so she was, in this past life, she was the kind of head priest leader, and she was talking to her. It was almost like, you know, the time's running out was very close to this catastrophe happening, hours. And she was saying to her priests lower than her, this is, you now need to go. You need to get on a ship, a flying ship, technology, like, you need to get out of here. You need to take these relics. You need to take these books. You need to take this information. You need to go over to this place, this place, this place. You need to leave your family now. Everyone is going to die. But you have to go because this is your responsibility. This is oh my God, I just absolutely broke down. I remember I was in the garden sunbathing. It was a lovely sunny day. I was just chilling out, like, life is good. And I just broke down because I had, in that moment when she said it, I was literally there. I was one of those, again, not the old man, different life. So the old man must have been before, maybe another, before the second one, or I don't know. This one, I was young and I still feel like I was a man,
Okay.
in it. And it just hit me like a ton of bricks. I was wailing. I was actually wailing. It was such a purge, because right then and there I was like, this is everything that is my deep problem. I was one of those people that, I'm not saying I was, but in that past life, and I believe, I don't know, but I believe I was one of those people that had to hold, and the information keeper,
Yes.
that was supposed to share wisdom, keep the wisdom going, not letting it die in the flood. And I had to leave my family. I was terrified because I was going to another place that I didn't know. We were on our own, so it was very much alone. Like, we were all, because there wasn't very many of us. We were all sent out singularly to different places. So I was alone. I was terrified. I knew my family were going to die, and I had to leave them. I couldn't even say goodbye to them. I felt the guilt weighing on me of them, me surviving and them not. It was like a whole mess of emotions. And it just kept coming. Then she kept talking and she kept saying these things, and I was like, oh, it's there again. And then I could directly translate those feelings of all, and I can't, it's a shame because I can't even remember what they were, because they were so specific. The guilt, the fear of being alone, the leaving my family, the going to a new place and not knowing what I'm doing, the weight of responsibility.
I was going to say that word.
Yeah, of having to teach this information, hold this information to a culture that wasn't necessarily ready for it. It was so much. But I could see how, again, like, the manifestation in this life was nowhere near as dramatic as that. No. But I could see those exact same themes running my life now, and it was mind opening, mind blowing. It was such a game changer. It gave me such a deeper insight into my behavior and my patterns that I would never, ever, ever have got to the bottom of if I was just looking at this life and childhood trauma from this life and my patterns and behavior.
No.
It was insane. And so not only did I have a mental, like, when you have an emotional reaction to something so inert, I don't know if that's the right, but you know, it's just a random story. When you have such a visceral emotional reaction, there is something to that.
Definitely.
There is you can, and again, like, I don't feel the need to justify myself or explain myself or prove myself to anyone. No. When you feel like that, it's 100% real. It's 100%,
and that's
real.
all that matters, isn't it? Because it's your inner world. And that's all that matters. You don't have to convince anyone.
No,
it's what it's doing to you in this life.
And
how it's just like, I expect it can just like rewire you in a second. Because everything just fits into place, and you can let go of things and forgive yourself for things. And I know it's like ongoing, but even just in a second, I think so much work's done on this life, isn't it? When you can feel everything that you went through in that time.
And for me, that one was a real purge of trapped emotion. That would obviously be affecting my energy field here in this life, and I could feel it letting go, like all that trauma, like I said, the trauma, all of it. So even if, you know, yes, it did help me with understanding why I had certain beliefs and I was behaving in certain ways in this life, but more than that one was absolutely like an energetic release. I felt it, and I think that that's what we are here, a lot of us, to do as well. I think we need to purge the trauma. We need to purge the emotions that we've carried. And I still don't know. I get angry sometimes because I'm like, come on, why are we carrying stuff? Like, we're highly like advanced, you know, on the spirit side, like whatever this game or simulation, whatever it is, why are we carrying shit from the past into this life? Why?
Is it necessary?
But I guess it is, because then it comes like, you ask those questions, but then you're like, well, yeah, because we're trying to break the programming of this system. Like, I think there's a lot of stuff we don't understand. And I think that I've said this before, we've spoken about this, haven't we, in our previous episodes, about this being a bit of a prison, but I don't want it to sound disempowering, like your soul, you have ultimate control over your reality, but unfortunately we forget, and our programming stops us. It's why we're doing all of this. We want people to wake up. We want people to remember past lives in Atlantis, so they remember who they are and the truth, and they can start stepping out and breaking out of this paradigm, this prison, so to speak. And I think that is why we come over with past life memories. I think it's actually very helpful. So you can get angry, and I do get angry, and I'm like, actually, no, it's helpful because we need that, like that. Remember, and remembering that, seeing myself as that young priest who needed to go out and share the wisdom and tell people, hold the information, share it with other people. I'm like, well, that's funny because it's kind of what I'm doing now in this life, isn't it? It makes sense, like that, having that connection to that priest helped me in my purpose in this lifetime. And we all, like so many of us in this world, you know, people that come to me, they want to know that what their purpose is. They feel like they're here for a deeper reason. They have no idea what it is, but they want to know. Most humans, I think, like at some point just think, why am I here? Like, what am I here for? And, you know, that really did help me solidify my purpose. I'd already was on the lines of it. And again, it's like little pieces of the puzzle get filled in. That's how Atlantis really did a big job for me of that, because it is a huge thing. Like, it's connected. Like, my mission there is been carried over, I feel, as with a lot of people listening, a lot of people here on Earth right now, their missions have carried over into this lifetime, because the cycle has come back round again. We're back on the verge of doing what Atlantis did, but we're not doing this anymore. We're breaking out of this paradigm. We're not doing that cycle. We're up leveling, we're ascending, and we've all come here, and that's our purpose in loads of different ways. So that's very, very broad, but that's inevitably what we are here to do, to change the world, to make sure that Atlantis doesn't happen again. And then what comes after that is just awesome.
Are we gonna, do you think, connect back to those days of Atlantis? That is going to be the new Earth that we hear about.
I think so. Whether we see it in our lifetimes, you know, no, probably not.
No,
we'll see the start of it. I think by the time we die, the world is going to be in very, very, very place. But I do think this is going to take generations to happen.
I mean, why now? Why now are we having contact from aliens now? Well, hearing about having contact, you know, this is all part of it, isn't it? And they're going to want to try and shut it down. And this is where this is where we'll get switched on again, though, won't it? To these past lives in Atlantis that we are in, because like you say, there's a whole collective of us here. I suspect there's like, you know, millions of us. And
maybe we're not all awake yet. But
we're gonna remember, aren't we? We're gonna recognize that feeling. We're gonna know what to do.
I think we already do know what to do. That's why people are listening to this podcast. That's why people are going to go and have a look at Atlantis now. And you know, again, don't let it stop at Atlantis. If it's not feeling like it's resonating, don't give up straight away. But there's Lemuria. Now, Lemuria was going on around the same time as Atlantis. Apparently there were wars, a lot of past life regressions. There were people, like Atlantis was not, Lemuria was very loving. It was less technology, more connection. So, you know, I always feel like you're more Lemurian. Yes.
Where was that located?
So, apparently the Pacific, like over the other side. But, you know, there were wars and stuff going on with Lemuria and Atlantis.
Yin and yang. Maybe. Atlantis, I'm Lemuria. Oh, I have to look into that, see if I resonate with it.
Yeah, I think you will. Because I've always got that feeling for you. But there's other, like I said, there's other civilizations, there's other things that, you know, might resonate with you. But look for them and let them and feel them, like, you know, that's the most, let it in, let
remember they're not myths.
Exactly,
these things are not myths.
No. And again, once you can just accept then that, oh, maybe Atlantis isn't a myth, that's how then we can move on to going, well, then maybe dragons aren't a myth.
You just took the words out. I'm just thinking dragon. Say it. Yeah, you might have been a dragon.
Yes.
You know,
or
a giant.
Or lived with dragons.
And
a lot of people are talking about dragon energy coming back.
I've
now.
noticed that.
Yeah. And dragons are, again,
so they were
always there.
They were definitely in Atlantis, weren't they? The dragons.
Yeah, I think dragon energy was around at that point. And again, we have to remember as well that these things work on dimensional levels. So it depends on the frequency of the place. Like dragons can still be around now. We just can't see them. They're on a different dimension because we're not at, they're such a high frequency.
Yeah.
So that was still at play in Atlantis. You know, they were a higher frequency than us, which is why they were able to do the things that we can't yet do. But we're working towards. But yeah, you know, there is nothing. It seems impossible anymore when you start opening up to this stuff. And the reason I wanted to share Atlantis is because I feel like it is part of my mission. To because of Atlantis, to not let this happen again. And I think that there are a lot of people here that are the same, like past life regressions I've done, QHHT sessions I've done. People have gone to Atlantis. People have gone to Lemuria. I've spoken to people and heard the same things again. The things that I've read in books, I've heard it from people who have no idea of what Atlantis is. And I think that there's a reason that we've all, you know, been called back. I think it's important. I think it's more important that we even know than I even know. I just feel like it's really important. And again, it's why I do everything that I do now. That's my goal in the back of my mind. I'm like working with women because I want them to come. I want them to remember who they are. I want them, like I want them to remember what they've come here to do.
That power that we had then is what we have to remember now.
And question everything. I feel like there's so much more to be said in Atlantis, and I feel like that was a surface scratch for me. But again, a lot of my experiences with Atlantis are just in here. I'm really struggling to articulate them, to recall them, because it's been such a big part of my journey, but it's like little puzzle pieces all at the same time. But those two past life experiences I shared with you, they really stood out to me. They were huge, particularly that one where I was the priest that had to go off. Oh, and I just wanted to say that when they sent off people to from Atlantis with the knowledge, some people landed in Egypt.
You did.
Some people, I definitely landed. That's where I went. I knew at that priest, I knew I was going home to Egypt. Some people landed in Southern America and Peru and all of that places. They were sent to different places all over the world. So these civilizations that we then learn about, where you know pyramids start.
I mean, come on, pyramids.
Exactly. So
that was a continuation of, because you remembered at that point, this is why they could build the pyramids and to have all this technology to build the pyramid. I mean, you can't tell me men with bricks on their back built those bloody pyramids. Come on now.
No.
And then I guess it just got knocked out of us, watered down.
It got watered down. Yeah, because obviously there was less of us, and the people that were trying to keep this knowledge alive were teaching people that weren't, because again, like now, everyone just thinks, well, the whole world would have been at the same level as the Atlantean civilization. No, that's not true. We've got, you know, tribes who don't have the internet here, while we're living here with all our technology and all our AI. You've got people living in tribes that are wearing no clothes and probably happier than us. Like, let's be honest. But do you see what I mean? We're not all at the same level. The same thing was in Atlantis. You had these highly technologically advanced people, and then we were being sent out to these places,
tribes, your civilization,
where we were trying to teach people things that they weren't necessarily ready for. And then that's where it started getting watered down into gods, and you had all the different gods.
And I love this. I love listening to you, because it then makes sense to me, because I was like, well, that's not real. Now you're making it real. So I love that. And now I can buy into history and have that thirst for knowledge that I didn't have before, because well, that wasn't real. What's the point? Now it's just come alive.
And that's and that's what I love. And I'm not sat, again, as with everything, as I always say, I'm not sat here saying this is the truth, like this is fact. No, I'm not. Of course I'm not. But what I am sharing is my journey of trusting my intuition, of breaking through beliefs, structures, paradigms, things that we've been told by people in charge. And
it just makes me laugh. Do you know what I mean? Like, you go to Stonehenge, you know, before we were open to all of this, and you know, you're told that and you believe it. You believe these guys carried these bloody stones on their back. You know, I mean, talk about gaslighting.
the ultimate gaslighting. I mean,
and I'm like, oh yeah. Oh, they use this and they use that to get them on, on the stones and the pulleys and all of that.
Again, and that's as a child when I was taught, because we all learned here in the UK, didn't we? Ancient Egypt, ancient Greece, and I remember as a child, I can see I'm in my classroom now, year 4, and I remember getting taught about the pyramids, and I was like, bullshit. This isn't true.
I love that.
But I didn't know.
You were a critical thinker even then.
And I think it's because I had these memories come through.
Yeah.
I didn't know what they were.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's how they did it, did they? I'll just buy into that.
I'm like, no, that's not real. That's not real. And I do remember always thinking as a child, well, of course, extraterrestrials exist. And I do think I remember thinking back then, maybe aliens did it. But it was such even then at that age, so year 4, what are you? What? 8?
Crikey, yes.
I still had that voice that went, don't be stupid. Oh, that's not real.
Yeah.
And just negated it. So it was there. The voice was there. And even at that young age, my programming was like, oh, no, that can't be real.
Well, no wonder.
Yeah.
That's what they're telling us.
Yes. But again, I came in with the crack in the door there around
with
that.
A really strong sense of your own beliefs and your own, that you can think for yourself and you can make up your own mind.
And I just always held that curiosity and always the openness. It was because I was supposed to, because it was supposed to crack open when I was older, so I can do what I'm doing now. And I thank that little old man priest.
Oh,
me, and I'm like, I'm here to take the mantle. I'm going to do this for you. I promised him. I promised him. I'm like, I'll do this. We're going to do it. We'll do it together. You're with me. You don't have to worry. Don't worry about it. And if we don't, it's okay too. Yeah. We've tried our best.
You're not responsible for the whole
world.
world.
We can only do what we can do. But let's get everybody doing it and I just feel really positive about it. I do. I feel so positive about it. But
I see this little priest behind you now with his pom-pom cheering you on.
There's so many parts of you guys that you don't even know are within you, and you have access to
be ignited.
Yeah. And this could just be the way that you gain access to it. And like I said, even if Atlantis isn't for you and you totally don't feel like you resonate with it, first of all, question, is that because of your beliefs? Is that a belief thing? Second of all, if you can really feel no, that's not for me, that's okay. But just be open to when you're hearing stuff about myths and fairy tales and things that aren't real and make believe and unseen world and stuff. Just be open and think, what if? Yeah. I'm just looking at my hair. I'm like, it's very interesting.
It's
I just can see Maleficent. Maybe Maleficent was real.
Well, she had a dragon.
She did have a dragon. Brilliant. And on that note, we'll end this episode. Keep it fun, guys. Keep it fun. Keep it curious. Keep it open. And you'll be surprised at what comes through.
Best way to be.
Yeah. Also, just before we leave, please could we ask you, beautiful, beautiful people, especially you guys who tune in every single week and are enjoying these episodes, we'd be so grateful if you could just nip on over to your podcast supply and platform. Thank you, that's the word. Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, whatever you're on, and if you could just leave a short written review, we would be so grateful.
A nice one.
Yes, please, a nice one. Yes, please, a nice one. Because what it does is it pushes us out to it. The algorithm likes it. It will then push us out to more people. We are trying to reach more people. We're on a mission. Help us on our Atlantean mission to spread the knowledge and the wisdom. And we would be really so grateful. So if you could just take 2 minutes to do that. Thank you so very much. Thank you.
Love you.
Yeah. Love you, Tom. Until next week, we will see you again soon. Tom, let us know about your Atlantis experiences. Who was obsessed with Atlantis when they were a kid?
Yeah.
Who watched documentaries and films about it?
And who might have listened to Tash today and her story, and it got you thinking. It got you remembering something.
Yes. Come share, because then your ahas might spark somebody else's ahas, and it's like that butterfly effect.
Yeah.
Isn't it? Exciting. Right, we're really going now.
Bye.